Hello and welcome to Film Favs. I'm Justin. I am VTV's internal director and resident movie buff. Today I am joined by
Jacob Marscola. I am a member of VTV and avid movie watcher as well, though I can't compete with Justin. Justin is much more of a movie buff than I am, and that's common knowledge, I think.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of it.
All right. So let's start off with some movie news. Box office. Kung Fu Panda 4 still on top.
I need to see it. I feel like I want to see it. I also didn't see 3.
Yeah, 3 was one I didn't feel like I needed to watch.
I was content with it ending in 2.
2 felt amazing.
I was like, it can end now. So when 3 came out, I wasn't super motivated to watch it. When 2 came out, I was like, oh, I need to see what they're gonna do with the sequel. Now I really don't care. But I love Jack Black, so maybe I'll watch it in support of an amazing man.
Yeah, I rewatched the first one last night.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Holds up.
Holds up. It's it's basic. It's simple, but like it does the job.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I liked 2 more than 1.
Yeah,
I think I did.
I think 2 though drags in some parts.
Yeah?
In the middle, I think the end is amazing though.
Yeah, the ending. Like the scene where he literally like holds a fiery ball and throws it back at an armada.
Fiery balls.
Fiery balls. Yeah, it's so cool. I love it so much.
The next Dune 2 still going. Followed by a new movie that came out this weekend, Arthur the King.
Oh, I want to see that. My parents want to see that too.
The Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, the Wahlberg movie.
With the dog.
With the dog.
With the dag.
I want to see that really bad, actually. It looks really fun, really like nice family film. Is it doing well?
It's in third place.
Okay,
so it beat out some other films, including the new Kristen Stewart movie, Love Lies Bleeding, which I thought would actually do a lot better. But I guess much like Driveway Dolls, it's much more of an indie film.
I haven't seen Driveway Dolls either. Did you see it? Was it good?
No, I don't know if I want to see it.
Okay, I'm interested just because it looks interesting. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel because it's only Ethan Coen, and I'm pretty sure Joel Coen is the power part of that brotherly dynamic.
Well, I think I don't know. I feel like when a movie comes out and it piques me at the very least, I try to then avoid hearing about it at all just so I can let myself watch it. But that's also really hard to do, I feel like, nowadays. Everyone says everything about everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in terms of news, not much really.
There's not much going on right now. It's weird.
I mean, we got like a new Yorgos film is going to come out with Emma Stone again. Come out this year. I mean, I guess he's been working on it already. Mm-hmm. But supposedly an anthology movie, Kinds of Kindness, I think it's called. I think that's what it's called.
That sounds cool.
I think it's called Kinds of Kindness. You got the Ari Aster movie, reuniting with Joaquin Phoenix. It's a Western called...
Hold on, everybody.
Hang on.
We know you're excited.
I can't... Eddington. It's called Eddington.
Oh, I saw some. I was looking through stuff before we were recording, looking at like what's hot right now, what's looking good, and Eddington popped up. Who all's in that?
I know Joaquin Phoenix is in it.
Joaquin Phoenix is Austin Butler. I swear I saw.
I think Austin
Butler's in it.
I want to say Matt Damon, but I could be completely wrong about that.
Yeah.
I believe that Wes Anderson has begun shooting his new movie, The Phoenician Scheme.
That just sounds like a Wes Anderson kind of title.
Yeah, it sounds like a Wes Anderson
movie. Are you excited for that?
I'm excited.
You're a big Wes Anderson fan.
I'm a big Wes Anderson guy.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a big fan and apologist of some of his lesser movies that like people don't like.
Yeah.
Like Darjeeling Limited, I'll defend. Asteroid City, I defend.
Asteroid City, I still have not seen, and that's like the one when you like told me about it, and then I watched the trailer, and I was like, "This looks fun." I'm so bad at following up on watching movies. How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah, how do you do it?
I go to the movies.
I know, but I also like either whether it's going to the movies or it's like just going on like a streaming service. I just can't follow through.
Well, if it's on a streaming service, I never follow through. I instead find a movie I want to watch that might have been on my list years ago.
Oh. Okay, so it's just sort of a random process that ends in you maybe watching something you should have watched.
Yeah. In other news, Sony had a few announcements. The big one, they pulled Madam Web.
Yeah.
From theaters.
Wow, I didn't. I still need to watch it.
They pulled Madam Web from some theaters. I'm not sure if it's all theaters, but they pulled Madam Web.
Pulling a movie that doesn't happen incredibly often, does it?
Well, I think they kind of had to, because with Morbius, they let it go as it did, and then it lost money. But then people with the Morbius memes got it back in theaters, they lost even more money.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember people saying they hated Morbius. Morbius seemed to be in theaters for a while, though.
It was in theaters for a while because it was a meme.
That's hilarious, actually.
Madam Web is just absolutely hated on.
People just don't like it in general.
It isn't like it's Morbin time. Oh, did you guys see the Morbius sweep? Like all that kind of stuff. Instead,
I need to still watch it. I feel like even people...
Instead, you get John Mulaney roasting it at the Oscars.
Yeah, that was... Hey, if there's any proof or any kind of sign of like if the Oscars wants to like get ahead of the curve, you found your host. I feel like you found your host, guys. Just take it now. Like save some money. Be like, hey, why don't you like come on and we'll let you come on now. I feel like I didn't even watch Madam Web and I just appreciated like that amazing. He just killed it on stage. I don't know. And also, like, if anyone is to, I feel like John Mulaney, even as a comedian or just like a speaker, because Jimmy Kimmel is funny, but there's always Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian in a successful late night host, and you can't deny that. But like, there's multiple instances in which you could point out where Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Hey, you didn't say that joke right," or "I didn't think it was funny." I feel like John Mulaney barely misses. I feel like he won't miss like at all, and I feel like nothing could go wrong. Now something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, I loved when when he just went through the entire plot of Field of Dreams and capped off with that should win Best Picture, but they'll probably pick one of the movies that came out this year.
Yeah, I feel like. I don't know if it's... I mean, I get there's a lot of maybe like red tape to go through in Hollywood or whoever. Like the Academy can't just go, okay, we want that guy.
Yeah, like they probably could.
And sure, there's some like processes to go through, but I feel like it's just it's such an easy pick. You guys gotta have him.
I think the problem is that's on ABC.
Yeah,
and I think they have a big say on who hosts. I hate to say this, but Jimmy Kimmel's their puppet. I mean, most of his guests are part of Disney branded films.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Marvel was happening.
Oh, he had everyone.
He had a freaking monopoly on Marvel.
There was the one interview he had.
He was the only late night host that basically consistently had the big Marvel groups.
Yeah, he had like the one. I mean, there's that. I mean, it's like a popular thing where he like interviewed like 8 Avengers at a time.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So like anything Disney or ABC, he's gonna get it, and so Oscars is ABC.
Mm-hmm.
They give it to him because. I mean, he's working under their umbrella.
Yeah, and, I feel like it would just be a smart move to maybe be ABC and recognize that people like variety. Even if Jimmy Kimmel killed it this year, I would love a new host. I love new hosts. I don't keep doing the same guy. I mean, I'm proud of him, and I'm glad that he could manage to do it 2 years, but it's also not all his comedy that got him that. Like Justin says, it's like that's their puppet.
So you're talking to the audience?
Should I be... I
thought you were going to be talking to me.
I'm switching in between both. I know I've watched all 6 episodes that have occurred before this, but I'm just kind of switching it up. I don't really know what maybe I'll take your angle at some point.
It's interesting that you looked at my camera when you're nowhere.
Oh no, I can't. I'm just kind of looking at it, admiring your camera. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of going for either one. Maybe I'll stare at you for the rest of the show.
I'd be happy with that.
That'd be great.
So. He was with my mother studying spiders in the Amazon before she died.
I didn't even need to see that movie to know that. Oh, that's a line that happened in that's how great of a joke it was too. I didn't watch Madam Web, but like the way he told it, I was like, oh, that must be a line in the film. Oh, that's a ridiculous line.
You wouldn't get such great lines in film without sound, such as he was with my mother researching spiders in the Amazon before she died.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Have John Mulaney host next year, y'all. That'd be so great. That'd be so great for us. It'd be nice. It'd be nice for the people that, like me, that say that they're going to watch all of the movies that are nominated, and then they don't, and they fall off of it. So the one thing that I can enjoy is the person hosting, and I would love to have John Mulaney host. That'd be like the one treat for me. So think about it. I don't know.
John Mulaney. Spider-Ham, Spider-Verse, Spider-Man. Spider-Man movies being released in theaters again.
Great transition. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for that. That'll be fun. I feel like it's ridiculous. All of these new movies that are coming out, I don't take the time to go to the movie theaters. Movies that I've seen before, I will like jump to watch all of them.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 would be awesome watching theaters.
Oh man, I don't because I never watched that in theaters.
I don't even think I was. No, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002. So I wasn't born yet.
And we were barely...
Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004. I was 1.
I was 1 year old. Yeah, I would love
Spider-Man 3, 2007.
Trying to think of all of the Spider-Man movies. I don't think I saw any of the Tobey Maguire ones in theaters, and I didn't see Amazing Spider-Man 1 in theaters.
I had Amazing Spider-Man 1 on DVD when that came out on DVD.
Yeah, I remember it being a big event because when we went to go see The Amazing Spider-Man 2 because Jamie Foxx is in that movie. And my dad played high school football with Jamie Foxx, and his name was not Jamie Foxx then. But he was making a big deal out of it, and I was like, whatever. And then I watched it, and I was like, I love this movie. I like Andrew Garfield. And he feels the same way, too.
No,
he loves The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I love Andrew Garfield, too. I feel like that's an opinion I should just state out loud. He's my Spider-Man. I know it's not the opinion that a lot of people hold, but he's my Spider-Man. I love him. I also love the other two as well. The other three. I love the infinite amount of Spider-Man that exist.
So many Spider-Man to choose from. Which is your favorite? That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the question.
What's the other one where he's like the briefcase full of junk?
Got a briefcase full of junk. Got a briefcase full of junk.
Yeah, I also kind of love The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for those moments that I can laugh at too. I like that a lot.
That's the question.
He just almost jumps into
the Hudson
River.
All right, enough about that.
Let's
get to your movie.
Let's get to my movie.
Let's run through the movies that weren't picked this week.
Oh yeah, let me see if
I can. So you got Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I know I did Age of Ultron. That's one of the ones I put on. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. It could be my favorite, but it fluctuates. A lot of people don't hold that opinion. I hold a lot of opinions that I don't think other people hold.
Yeah, you're an interesting character.
I'm an interesting character. Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think, was one of mine. It might have been, but I really appreciated Demetrius' episode, so I think he did it justice better than I could.
He didn't hear you. Demetrius is in the room.
Demetrius is in the room, but I'm simply...
Oh, he's shaking his head.
I think he did a great job. I think you both did a great job with that one.
Okay, so... Perks of Being a Wallflower is not on here.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, but it should be. I don't know.
So one of them is Whiplash.
I did. Whiplash would have been something that I also could gush about as passionately as I'm about to gush about this movie.
And then I would just say, why is it all yellow?
yeah. I think it's hilarious how yellow that movie is. It's.
And then the other one is Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans. That's right. I was trying to go for like a sports movie and a Marvel movie and like an all-time favorite and then like two others. I just knew I had to include this one. It wasn't my number one, but I'm happy to be talking about it now.
Yeah, you're another Back to the Future fan.
Yes, love Back to the Future.
We'll accommodate.
Yeah,
eventually.
We'll figure out a way. Back to the Future.
You might see other couches. Who knows?
I would love I know we're going to talk about a different movie, but just real quick. I would love an opportunity in my academic future, which is becoming a lot smaller than I don't have a lot of time left, but I would love an opportunity to write an essay about that trilogy. I would tear apart. Not tear apart. I would like go crazy on an essay about the trilogy. I love that trilogy so much, especially after watching it sort of recently, and I'm like realizing all the choices they made. Save it for whatever kind of episode we might do in the future. We're talking about this movie.
Close your eyes. Count to three.
1, 2, 3.
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me. We're talking about Now You See Me. The amount of times I would love to bring in Now You See Me quotes in like a smooth way to conversation, and I always mess it up. I really would love to. Now You See Me. I love this movie.
Was that 2013?
2013, and I believe the sequel was
Louis Leterrier.
Yes.
Who directed Incredible Hulk.
And music by Brian Tyler. I'm
care.
pretty sure because the instrumental of like the main theme is.
Oh, I thought you meant he directed the movie called that. I was like, I've never heard of it.
No.
I was like, I don't care.
The music
I've never heard of that.
The score is by Brian Tyler.
Okay.
And it's not half the movie, but it's a good part of the movie that makes it so cool. It's like it mixes.
I'm currently trying to think of the music, and I'm only thinking of "Catch Me If You Can."
That's also a great score. Great score.
Like I'm thinking of do like just like the.
It's sort of similar.
I feel like it is similar.
It's similar. Now You See Me kind of crescendos a little more.
I feel like it's got more bass.
It's got a lot of drums too in like when it gets. I don't know anything about music.
Especially in the New Orleans scene.
Yes. I listen to the Now You See Me like main title just like every once in a while walking around campus. Love feeling like a main character listening to Now You See Me. Oh man.
All right, you want to give a brief maybe 3-sentence synopsis?
Yeah, so Now You See Me is a movie that portrays 4 magicians. It centers around these 4 magicians called the Four Horsemen, who are just different street magicians, magicians that weren't like trying to make some sort of success, and they come together and are brought together by this organization called the Eye, which we learn about deeper into the movie. And basically, they are more than just a magic act. They're pulling off heists that are later to be revealed that are like kind of taking money away from. They're a bit of Robin Hoods, but some people don't believe so. It's about this like the FBI is chasing them throughout the whole thing. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of different characters, and great characters. I love almost every single main/side character in this movie, and I have so much to talk about with any of them. I could talk so much about any of them because I love them so much. Yeah, it's just magicians being kind of sneaky, and it explores a lot of like, except for like some instances, it's pretty practical in how it explores magic. Yeah. Except for some instances, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But it's great. It's a star-studded cast, and it's a really fun. It's a fun movie to watch. I feel like anyone could watch this movie and enjoy some aspect of it. I feel like that's, and I'm saying that as a fan, so maybe I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses. But I feel like anyone can enjoy some part of this movie.
Yeah. Let's go right in the characters then, because it seems like characters are a big part of this.
It's very character-driven. I feel like. And so there's the Horsemen. You got Daniel Atlas, played by Jesse Eisenberg.
He's very much your classic magician.
He's your classic magician. He's like sleazy enough and charming enough. He's like towing that line of like he's kind of a jerk. Like he is a jerk and he's a control freak, but also like.
I mean, that's Jesse Eisenberg.
That's just Jesse Eisenberg too.
I feel like he plays like the neurosis.
Yeah, this role
like channels it into control freak.
Absolutely. But like of the few Jesse Eisenberg roles I watched, this is the role that I think he like is just the most natural suited for. I think he just works well with this. I wouldn't say this is like my favorite role of his, but I don't know. It's hard to distinguish between, is that Jesse Eisenberg being himself or playing Daniel Atlas? He just does a really good job with it, but he's kind of like the leader of the Horsemen. You got Merritt McKinney, played by Woody Harrelson. He is a mentalist, or maybe a wizard.
Hypnotist.
He's a hypnotist. Yeah, and I say maybe a wizard because there's things that mentalism does in this movie, and especially in the sequel. We're talking about the first one, that are just kind of ridiculous.
Well, in the sequel, Jesse Eisenberg stops rain.
That's not the craziest part. He does that.
Yeah, that is the craziest part.
The crazy part about that scene is not when he stops the rain. It's when he falls backwards and disappears into water. The stopping the rain is like strobe lights and stuff, and I know it's like hard to imagine that amount of. But no, that scene is crazy.
You can't stop rain with light.
Well, he doesn't actually stop rain. He makes it look like he's stopping rain, which is kind of crazy. If you were standing in that environment, do you think you would still feel the drops on your face and be like, the rain isn't stopping? It does. I think it does work like practically and scientifically, but I don't think you can actually stop rain. What's crazy about that scene is when he falls backwards and disappears into water, in like a puddle of water. That's insane. That's what's crazy about that scene. But we're talking about the first movie. I was talking about Merritt McKinney, played by Woody Harrelson.
You got Henley next.
You got Henley Reeves, played by Isla Fisher. She's a bit of an escape. Well, what I've always wanted from this movie that I didn't really get is we get that she's like an awesome escape artist and is really cool at the beginning of this, and then like nothing like that
she
really
do anything.
She doesn't really do much of that specific. Like everyone. Well, really not everyone. Really, it's Merritt McKinney and then Jack Wilder, played by Dave Franco, that have their two things that they do, and they're very specific to the things. Merritt is a mentalist, and Jack Wilder throws cards, does card magic. Like Henley and Daniel are great magicians, but kind of run the gambit and do whatever, do a mix of things.
On the one hand, I feel like that's probably best. Like,
yeah,
you got to have those people who can do everything.
Yeah, they are of the four. Those two are definitely like the showmen, like the people who are like very much the entertainers, the performers of the group. Whereas like I personally think like Merritt and Jack are like, in terms of what they can do as magicians, I think it's really cool. Jack Wilder, when I first watched this movie, I watched it and then like I immediately was like, "Mom, do we have a deck of cards? I need to learn how to throw cards." Jack Wilder used to be my favorite character. Not that he's done anything to like make me think otherwise. I've just watched this movie more since my first time, and now I've got different opinions. So those are your four horsemen, and they're being pursued by the FBI pretty much this whole movie.
Yeah.
The leader of the FBI being
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo.
It's just Mark Ruffalo.
It is Mark Ruffalo.
It's Mark Ruffalo if he was a little bit angry but wasn't green.
Yeah. It's Mark Ruffalo if like he wasn't trying to stop the anger because the anger doesn't do anything. It's Mark
Ruffalo if he got divorced at like 2 a.m. on a Tuesday.
He does seem divorced the whole movie, but But then, like at the end, like when he talks and stuff, like this guy's unless he's like not said anything, this guy's never had this character's never really had a love interest up until the start of this movie because of he's twist. Also, spoilers for Now You See Me. I don't know
we're
why.
getting into twist already.
I guess we could not talk about it. It's just that I'm talking about Dylan Rhodes right now, so we can get to the twist later, I guess. So you got Dylan Rhodes. He's pursuing the Horseman. You got a few other characters in here. You got
the French love interest
sidekick
you got to Dylan.
Alma. What is her last name?
I don't know. I just know her as
it's Alma.
I just know her as Melanie Laurent.
Yeah, they say her name once and then.
Well, no, that's just the actress.
Yeah, no, that's they say Alma once, but that's the actress.
She's in something else. I'm pretty sure.
She does a few.
She's briefly. No, yeah, she's in Inglourious Bastards.
Is she?
She's Shoshana.
Oh, okay. So that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I know her as Alma. The Interpol agent is really what you might know her as. And
Common's in this movie.
What?
Common
is in this movie.
Briefly,
like a few times. He plays the violin. He gets hypnotized to play the violin at some point.
You
That's
got
great.
Morgan Freeman
as Thaddeus Bradley.
Sort of the break the magician's code guy.
Yeah, he's and he's always kind of stirring the pot, which I think is a very interesting kind of character. But also, I've talked to other people that love this franchise, and they are annoyed by his character. Because he is an annoying character, and I've talked about
he's annoying once you learn about the second movie.
Yeah.
Second movie ruins a whole lot of Now You See Me 1.
It does. There's a lot that they set up that... And Now You See Me 2 is my least favorite of the two, but I still love both movies. There's stuff in Now You See Me 2 that kind of breaks down what they've set up in 1, but it's not totally horrible.
And then you got
Arthur Tressler.
Michael Caine.
Arthur Tressler, the benefactor and kind of the manager of the Horsemen up until they screw him over.
Yeah, he's the money.
He's money. He's got a lot of money. He's a rich British guy
who runs an insurance company.
Ew. Yeah, it's. As much as he's a boring not boring because it is fun to see him get screwed over later, I think he's very necessary to this whole plot. He's very much like someone needs to be pissed off at the Horsemen, and if there's anyone that is, it's Mark Ruffalo sometimes, but it can't fully be him because of a twist. It is Arthur Tressler, always mad at the midpoint of this movie, and then up all of the sequel too. This guy hates these four, and it's
with a childhood dog named Snowball.
And then his family, his uncle Cushman Armitage. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the characters. There's a lot of Agent Cohen is a smaller character, but he's kind of the guy who is trying to. I forget the actor's
the guy that
name.
looks just appears in movies sometimes.
He just appears in movies sometimes.
He's one of those character actors.
I love him in this movie though. He's necessary, and I if there's anything that I really love about Now You See Me 2, it's him. I like that he gets more of a front forward role. So those are most of the characters. A lot to talk about with the characters, but what else?
I'm very much a fan of Atlas.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like he's the most enjoyable to watch because I feel like the others are very much assured of themselves in this movie, and Atlas is, but he always backs it up and always he's been able to do every single person's part.
Yeah.
And I feel like just him being the leader and Jesse Eisenberg at the same time.
Yeah, I think everyone I think does a great job in this movie, but if there's if Now You See Me was a movie to get Oscar nominated, which is not the type of movie to get Oscar nominated, but if that were a thing, the two performances I would nail as maybe being nominated is Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo. Jesse Eisenberg for one reason, Mark Ruffalo for a completely different reason. Two very different characters that butt heads a little more in the second movie, which is very fun to watch. Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg. I mean, there's the scene in the FBI holding room where he's always being the smartest guy in the room. That's awesome.
Always
scene.
the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, and
then the freaking handcuffs.
Yeah, the handcuffs. I love.
Handcuffs are so good.
Handcuffs are so cool. all of the magic that's done in this first movie in particular is really cool to see. It's really whether it's the practical sense or just someone I like the explanation of it later. I think it's really cool. But I love quoting and going back to like quoting the like white on rice, and that's not very. Let me be clear. We will always be 1 step, 3 steps, 7 steps ahead of you, and just when you think you've caught up, that's when we'll be right behind you. And at no point will you ever be anywhere than where I want you to be. I love that line. So cool, and no one can deliver that other than Jesse Eisenberg.
I mean, you delivered it quite well.
I love it. It's such a cool line. And it's and when you watch till the end of the movie, it's especially fun to think of how ironic of a line it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything in this movie is kind of ironic after you've finished it and seen the twist.
How many? I'm trying to think. Did they only do 3 shows in this movie? Did they only do the?
They only did 3
Vegas
shows.
one, the New Orleans one,
Vegas,
and
New Orleans, and
New York.
New York, yes.
I was so disappointing.
Why you wanted them to do more?
The New York one wasn't even a show.
Oh no! So that's the thing is that I know, but that's the thing, right? And I think the transition of like the first show is a show. Like
I love the second show a lot more.
The second show is great. Well, what I mean by that is like in totality, the first one's and we don't see all of the show, but like it ends in them bowing and being done, and it's a full show and nothing crazy happens. The middle show is a show that ends in them having to escape. And then there's like a transition of the third show is literally them just like setting things right and kind of saying goodbye. I think it's a nice transition. I would have loved the third show to be a little more, but the whole thing of the third show isn't really the show itself. It's what they did to get there, I think. It's like a bit of a, like the third show it's called a show, but it's really just them finishing what they had to do. I think it's cool. I mean, honestly, I'd love to just go to a Four Horsemen show, just like in general, which I think they actually, not the actors, but I think actual magicians like headline some sort of a show in Vegas in which they like pretended to be the Four Horsemen and like were kind of like there was like the main guy who was like the Atlas. There was an escape artist, a card trick, a mentalist. They kind of did that. I didn't watch it or whatever. I think every time I look up Four Horsemen, that kind of pops up the poster of like the real people. Yeah, no, but yeah, the third show wasn't much of a show, but it is kind of just like we're saying goodbye. Still really
turn in the money.
Turn in the money. Yeah, and maybe now is when we
fake
can
money though.
The fake money, because there is some, and I know magicians have their secrets, but there's some stuff in this movie that like, how?
I can't.
Less so than the sequel. What I like to think of, and it kind of a lot of it ties to like Merritt, and Merritt's really cool as a character, and I think a lot of the mentalism that he does in the movie is believable if you believe that mentalism could exist. But like at one point, he just looks at a truck driver. Like there's a scene, there's a scene where Morgan Freeman is explaining how they could have stolen the money, and it's how they did. So it's showing them stealing the money before and not actually robbing the bank. And basically, Merritt is pretending to be a police officer, lifts his visor, and just like stares at the truck driver. And Morgan Freeman, Thaddeus Bradley, is saying like, what they may not have you believe is these truck drivers are not exactly mental giants. Hey, if Woody Harrelson stares at you, I don't think that's grounds for falling asleep on the job. I don't know if that's how that works, but that is that's like one of the crazy things. A lot of the mentalism going insane and being unrealistic is a little more in the sequel. So watch the sequel if you want, and you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. Whether you enjoy it being unrealistic or not, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I mean, if you watch the sequel for one reason only, it's gonna be for the card throwing scene.
Yes,
it's the best scene in that entire movie.
It's so cool.
Though it is disappointing that Isla Fisher didn't come back.
I think. I mean, there's reasons for the character and also reasons for the actor.
The reasons that the character left is because the actor left.
Well, yeah, no, I know. I'm saying. It's not like they totally ignored it. Like, Isla Fisher did leave, and then also they were like, oh, Henley just wanted out of the eye.
And they replaced you with someone else.
yeah, they replaced her. Which I think, I'm forgetting, I only researched
Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie Kaplan, thank you. And I do like Lula in the second movie. I think it's if anyone is to replace Henley, I think that's a nice replacement. Yeah, Isla Fisher, I believe... Was she pregnant?
She might have been.
She might be pregnant, and then also maybe there's like something of like she didn't really like being on set of the first movie, like it wasn't as enjoyable.
She was kind of put. I think her intro was a little bit dangerous for her. Yeah, I think she just didn't want to do something like that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because she also had the bubble. In New Orleans, like she did a lot.
Henley, as much as like you might watch this movie and think Henley didn't do a lot. Henley does do a lot.
She's a lot more of the showman. She's not as much.
She is a lot of the show, and it is interesting that the movie that like plays a lot with like the magician's assistant and the magic's happening over here. Henley does take on that role, which is interesting that they just like threw that on her as a character, but she does that well. I would like to if they ever made a third movie.
They are making a third movie.
I know they've been saying that though for forever.
They brought back the director.
I'm not
like
believing it.
I think it's like confirmed.
I'm
now.
fully on board with it, and I only say if, as in like I just want to wait till I get a trailer. So when they make this movie, I would love to see if Isla would come back, if Henley would come back, and they would bring some sort of other explanation to her leaving. She doesn't have to, but I do like her as a character, so I'd love for her to come back.
I think she'd be more likely to come back than Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah.
I don't think Lizzie Kaplan would want to do it again.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, also like, and again, we're talking about the first movie. There's a lot of places they could go after the sequel. I don't love where they ended the sequel. I don't love that. And again, spoilers for 2. You're watching and now you see me episode of Film Favs, so you should know. But Thaddeus Bradley just being. I love that they gave it. So I guess we haven't even talked about the twist that happens in this movie.
Yeah, I hate the twists.
You don't like the twist?
I hate the 2 twists in this movie. I hate them.
2?
Because they make no sense.
2.
I don't like the fact that Dave Franco fakes his death.
That one I'm probably a little more on board with you than this next one.
I don't like that because all the characters act like he's actually dead, even though they planned it from the start. Like they're alone. And they act like he died. He didn't die.
Yeah.
You know, you helped fake his death. You were there.
It could also, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for my movie that I really love, but it could also be like, I don't know, maybe they thought that because for a while in this movie, there's a bit of an attitude with Jack of like, he's a kid. He's going to mess up something. And like maybe the explanation is they really thought he messed it up.
No, they helped the car crash that he was a part of. They took his actual car.
Yeah. No, it is weird that they act like that. It could be to put up a facade or whatever. I don't know.
But they were alone.
Well, no, they don't really act to.
When they were in the elevator for the third show, they're like, "We'll do this for Jack."
Did they say that?
They said something along the lines of that.
I don't think they did.
They did something like that.
Well, they definitely, like, on like the YouTube video that they posted or whatever, they were like, oh, remember the name Jack Wilder, and if that's the instance, I would love to hear why you don't like the twist of this movie.
Because it ruins the character, and it's like, you were pointless. You were pointless this entire movie. Yeah, tell the twist.
Well, so the twist, which Justin and I have possibly the most opposing ideals and opinions about this twist, because I love it. Dylan Rhodes is revealed to be. So there's this whole theme of like the movie too of like, oh, there must be a fifth horseman. Someone's helping them or something. And at the end, it's revealed that Dylan Rhodes, since his father Lionel Shrike died, has been like meticulously like building this like persona and like masterminding this plan to get back at Thaddeus Bradley, to get back at Arthur Tressler, to get back at Elkhorn, all 3 companies and people that kind of screwed over him and his family and his father, and the reason that his father's dead. And the twist is like he's part of the Eye, and he's not actually Dylan Rhodes, he's Dylan Shrike. The reason that I love or at least the reason that, like, I mean, the twist blew me away, and it was like, when I first saw it, I was like, that's awesome. The reason I like it is because, I don't know, like, and what's also really cool, and I love watching, is, like, rewatching the movie again and seeing the little nuances that Mark Ruffalo puts into the character of Dylan Rhodes, knowing that you know who he is, and so there's instances in which they're talking about Lionel Shrike, and you can see Dylan trying not to like let it crack that like, oh, that's his father, that's his dead father. There's instances in which Dylan like accidentally in air quotes is trying to lead the FBI the wrong way. It's only once. He like says west instead of east, but it's the slightest bit of detail that I know wasn't a mistake. You write a script, you put that in for a reason. I guess I have no concrete reason why, I think you have more of a concrete reason as to why you don't like it. I just like it because I think it's cool and I think it makes sense. And I think a character that torn and that planning and that meticulous and detailed is fun. And if anyone does it well, I think it's Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I mean, I could say so much about the twist. But that's just the reasons why I like it. I don't think it ruins his character, but I don't disagree. I see why you could think it would. I just don't agree with the reasons that it ruins his character.
So I think that this twist is like a magic trick.
Uh-huh.
You look at it once and you're like, oh my goodness, it's so cool. Look just a second longer, it all falls apart. You see how it's done, and you realize that's so dumb. such as the fact that he's been planning this revenge for so long that he decided to change his name, was able to get a job in the FBI, was able to then be the lead investigator of the Four Horsemen, acted like a complete fool the entire movie, all because he wanted to get back at one guy.
Well, it's that, and it's also like
so much had to fall into place for all of this to happen.
If anything is to fall into place, it's something that's planned for over 20 years. I mean,
how does he get into the FBI if he changed his name?
Well, I mean, again, this and that, there is an issue that I have with. So again, he does do this to get back at like multiple people and to basically avenge his father. But it isn't just him. You have to remember he's part of the Eye. I'm not saying that the Eye is the reason that he's doing this, but like he's got the resources of the Eye. He's carrying out like the message and mission of the Eye, which is to like be Robin Hoods of sorts.
Well, after the second movie, I hate the Eye.
No,
so
see, this is where I will agree with Justin. The Eye is a little too powerful for me.
It's so dumb.
The Eye, I think as a concept, when they introduced it in the first movie, it's like, oh, that's really cool, like a secret society. It's not very secret, and it doesn't feel like a society. It feels more like an organization at the end of the second movie. It feels like they're all powerful, so how could anything go wrong for the Horsemen? In the second movie, a lot goes wrong for the Horsemen. That's kind of what goes on. How does that happen if the Eye is so powerful? If Dylan Shrike is someone who can plan that far in advance to make the first movie all come into... So then how does he mess up in the second one? Like, he is a pinpointing... Like, he is a detailed planner. So how does he mess up in that second? Like, how does something like that
His
happen?
character falls apart even more in the second movie. Once he's not faking his identity, he's not a fun character.
This is a reason why, as much as I would love for them to make a third movie just because I love these movies, I would have been okay if the first movie happened and that's it. I would have been okay with that for the sake of a lot can fall apart if you continue a story about a character after you've done the twist. Because, I mean, as much as I wasn't in the writer's room when they wrote this movie, we all know that twist came a little early. No way that they were like, hey, maybe we should do this twist at the end. Like, they had this as their big punch.
It makes no sense in some parts because it's like his whole character arc through the movie is learning to trust his partner, the French woman, learning to trust her. And to kind of... Because she's right this whole time.
Yeah.
And it builds this awesome character arc of this veteran FBI agent who's listening to this young Interpol woman who's very enthusiastic about this and, like, wants to help catch him. And then tearing that apart at the end and being like, nah, he was fooling you the whole time. Pulling your leg.
Well, I would argue that...
And he tells her in the end.
Oh, he tells her. I would argue that while Dylan Rhodes, the FBI agent, is going through this character growth, I think Dylan Shrike is also going through this as he's trying to keep his facade up because... He says this at the end, too, is like, I planned all of this, and and there was one factor that I didn't account for, and it's like someone like you coming in and, like, kind of... I do think as much as, like, the things that Alma is talking about throughout the movie of, like, there's a fifth horseman, you have to believe in things. As much as Dylan Shrike is a magician, is someone who believes in the fact that magic can happen, I do think that belief's still not really there, and he's very cynical. I think Dylan Shrike, as well as Dylan Rhodes, learns a little bit if you want to think about it in a way of, like, well, it ruins it all. At the very least, Shrike, the who he really is, still at least gains something from it, even if a lot of it is torn away. Which, I mean, yeah, that's what's crazy is that, like, the biggest punch of this movie is also the reason, and I've talked to more than just Justin of people who don't like the twist. It's one of the reasons that people don't love the ending of the movie as much as it's the reason that I love the movie, which I think makes for interesting film debating, and I think it's really fun to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, there's not much. I mean, there's so much, but that's kind of like the bare bones of what we'd want to talk about with Now You See Me.
What's your favorite trick in this movie?
My favorite trick. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of cool things. I think.
Because my favorite trick isn't so much a trick as much as it is the ending of the New Orleans scene. I love when it's like, look under your chairs, and it's their bank account numbers, and then they wave the flashlights, and then it goes up as Tressler's account goes down.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being handcuffed by his feet, and then the FBI comes on stage, and then the secret word comes on, And it just all comes together so well.
I love stuff coming together.
I love the end of that because it's such a climax of that scene, which is why I'm so disappointed in the third New York, because it doesn't feel like there's a climax of the movie. The climax of the movie is the twist,
which,
and it's not so much it doesn't feel like a climax as much as the New Orleans one was.
And you know what sucks is that, like, because to me, New York isn't the twist, isn't like the big climax. The big climax for me, which is enjoyable for me, is the twist. So that's what maybe sucks about this, is that it does kind of like, and that's what a movie does. It's like, oh, we're gonna tell this story. We hope you like it. For anyone who, like Justin, who doesn't love the twist, like, you didn't really feel that climax of it. And I will agree, New York doesn't. It's not that I'm underwhelmed by it. It's just that I was surprised when I'm not that I was, like, when I first watched it, I loved everything about the movie because I watched it for the first time. I've watched it over and over again now, and I think, yeah, New York could have been a little beefier, just with something else. Like,
could have had at least a magic trick
with something else going on. Like, at the very least, something where, you know what I really love? If there's anything that I love about 2, which is a few things that I've already said, I love that they're performing on their own and they're like throughout the city. And that they're like scattered, and that, like, the not the FBI this time, it's Tressler's men and all like their whole army.
Yeah, I if there's one thing I do like about the second movie, I like the twist of that movie.
Yes,
because it just fits so well. Like, it made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it definitely, yeah, and I think I think the stage presence in the third show isn't as.
I also like the climax of the movie where they're on the fake plane.
Yes, that's really cool.
That a lot.
That's really fun. Yeah, I mean, my favorite trick from this first movie, I don't know. I love the way that, like, and again, there's not a ton of huge crescendo tricks that happen in this movie. There's some unrealistic tricks, like I've said, but I think I really just like stuff coming together in the scene where Atlas is like smartest man in the room.
Oh yeah,
all of that happening. That's a cool thing.
The handcuffs,
the
Pepsi,
everything about it. And again, the irony of, like, oh, well, you know who you're talking to. You're not the smartest guy in the room. I love that. Yeah. That's probably my favorite trick of the movie. Yeah, for sure.
Any other thoughts before we get into because time is running out very quickly.
It is. I didn't realize.
We spent a lot of time talking about twists and stuff.
I could talk a lot about this movie. There's not much else that I will talk about, though. I just really like it. I like being able to talk about it with people who share different opinions, but overall, I think it's an okay movie.
Like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Amazing. Spider-Man 2.
We should talk about that amazing movie sometime, you and I. We should.
You already made a presentation for me.
I did. I made him do a presentation where he pretended that he liked the movie. But also, I feel like you and I could laugh at the ridiculousness of that movie.
You wouldn't laugh at it. You'd enjoy it.
No. I laugh at it and enjoy it. I think you laugh at it and are miserable. I think you're miserable when you laugh at it. I laugh at it and enjoy it.
The only thing I like about that movie is Gwen Stacy's death, because I think it's really well done.
Yeah, really well done. Demetrius disagrees.
Why are you shaking your head?
He just makes him sad. That's why it's well done. It makes you sad.
You got the freaking web coming out like a hand.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then he, snaps her neck, and then she becomes Bella Baxter.
Yeah. And it's over. That's all I have to say about Now You See Me. At least the plot and the characters.
Well, we're getting back in the characters, actually. Because
yes.
now we're doing some fan casts.
Yes, some fan casting. Let me tell you, when I've watched these episodes of Film Favs, I've been like, man, that seems easy. This could be fun. This was so difficult. My gosh, this was so difficult. The amount of overlap that exists, I've narrowed it down to one a character, but still, the amount of overlap that did exist in this list of people is ridiculous, just because I think a lot of people in VTV could portray these characters. Not that these characters are very similar and like, oh, it's all the same character. It's just that a lot of people in VTV could go over these... could be these characters. Do you want to go from the ground up? And also, how ground do you want to go? I'm prepared for
I want to end with the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, me too. But, like, what's the most minuscule characters you'd like to start with?
Let's start with Thaddeus.
You want to start with Thaddeus?
Oh, no, actually...
I've casted Cohen.
Okay, go with... I'm not going to have a person.
Yeah, there's not much of an explanation. I just think Isabella could play Cohen. I think Isabella could play... Because Cohen's like a rule follower. Cohen, as much as, like, seems like an ass in the movie, he is still, like... This guy, like, and especially in the second movie, you realize, this guy's just doing his job.
That's not common. It's the other guy, right?
No, that's the other guy. The other
That's
guy
what I
that
thought.
kind of has like a nasally voice. Isabella, I think.
Oh, does he have glasses?
Yes.
Oh, it's that guy?
Yeah. Did you think I was talking about someone
Oh,
else?
I thought you were talking about someone else.
No. You were thinking of Rhodes' partner.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. No. I didn't cast it for him. I don't. Yeah, sorry. Miscommunication there. Yeah, I think Isabella could play Cohen. You know, like he'll like crack down and get like serious when he like finds the rule breaker, which is Dylan Rhodes, and I think Isabella could like snap like that. Like I was right. This is the guy, and
This is him.
Is him, and I think her range could like bring that kind of frustration needed for a character that's finally right. Yeah. Who do you want to go through next?
I mean, I'll just briefly say Josh for that one.
Josh. Yeah.
I'll just say Josh.
Josh was also on the list for me, but I narrowed it down.
Yeah, next let's go with Thaddeus.
Thaddeus Bradley. For this one, I've got Carm. I've got Carm. Thaddeus Bradley, as I stated before, is a character who stirs the pot for the sake of stirring the pot. And I love Carm. But Carm absolutely could do that. And it's a compliment to you, Carm, buddy. You could really play that like kind of confidence, and I think you could also play the immediate like when you get framed. I think you could switch on a dime. I think that'd be really cool. Who do you got?
I think Connor would be this role.
Connor
seems like the guy that would be the guy to come out in the shadows and be like, I know how they did this.
Yeah,
give me some money, I'll tell you how.
Yeah, I do like I think both of these guys could be like, yeah, I know how it's done. If you pay me, like I think that could be that's some good casting.
Next, let's go with Michael Caine.
Arthur Tressler. Arthur Tressler. This one was really hard. Mostly just because he's kind of the most detached of characters from like us college students in terms of personality. This is a rich, old British guy, and so I have Chamberlain. I don't know. I feel like Chamberlain could just play a rich person that's like kind of prideful and overconfident in how like secure he is, and if anyone can bring the kind of like, how do you want your horsemen shredded? Like that's Chamberlain. I feel like he could bring that. This one was hard. I don't have much of an argument for this.
For this one, I'm gonna go back to alumni. I think. Which one of the two am I gonna pick? I think I pick. Yeah, Pat came to mind first.
Yeah?
I think Pat could do this.
Yeah, I think Pat would also. I think Pat was on my list for. Yeah, Pat could definitely play
I think Pat would do the Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Absolutely.
Batman.
That's all he says in this movie, right? Batman.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. Who do we got next?
Next, let's go with Shoshana. What's her name? Alma.
You want to do Alma?
Let's do Alma.
Alma.
Unless I'm missing someone who's a lesser character.
That's all I've got.
Right, Alma.
Unless you want to cast Common. Common is Common.
No, Common's Common.
Common's Common.
We get Common.
We get Common to be part of E2E. Alma. I've got Gianna.
Interesting.
So there's some specific characteristics to Alma that were making it very difficult, or not very. It's that there's not a lot, but you have to really nail down on the few that make her character. Not that she's not a complex character. I just think there's like she kind of is very like she's like put together and is very much like, I will like work with you, but then like does snap at Dylan whenever you will like respect me and don't tell me to wait in the car. And like I am an age, and like I don't know. Also, like the big thing with Alma in this movie is like believing in magic and like the wonder of like she doesn't write it off like she's some cynical FBI agent like Dylan Rhodes. And I think it's you. Gianna's behind the camera.
She's right behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
I think I put Isabella here.
Yeah.
I think she very much Alma as a character is very much more optimistic than all the other characters. I feel like she's much more of the, why don't you believe in magic? Like whenever she sees magic, she's always happy to see it.
Yeah.
I think that Isabella could play that.
I think it's a nice refreshing character to have in this film of people who are either magicians who are like assholes at times, or people who don't believe in magic that are assholes at times. It's a nice refreshing character, and I think that's why she exists in this movie.
Yeah. Next, let's go with Dylan
Rhodes Strike. This one, I had a long list of people, but none of them were really cutting it for me, and then I forgot that we could go to the alumni. And if there's one person I know that would and could plan for something this meticulously and this far ahead, it would be Mr. Andrew Mister. I also think, like, from the bit of acting credit that I've seen Andrew do in VTV sketches, there's a duality to Dylan Shrike, of, like, being incredibly frustrated and feeling like you're a step behind and being very, like, just disgruntled, and then also immediately being like, that is the question, isn't it? I want you to wait behind, but I am the mastermind. And I think he could really, I don't know, I think when that reveal comes, he could turn on a dime and immediately do that. And also I feel like he would also just be honored to be given this character, because that's like his favorite character of this whole franchise.
For this is where I put Gianna.
Yeah?
I put Gianna here.
Interesting.
I could see her being the one to be like, and then be able to make a fool of herself, and then go, and then be like, gotcha.
Now you don't. Yeah.
Now you see me?
Now you see me? Now you don't. Also,
now you see me? Now you see me too.
Yeah. Now you see me. You guys really dropped the ball there. I don't know why you didn't call it. Now you don't. So now are we going up the line with the Horseman?
Let's make our way.
You want to make your way?
I want to end with Woody Harrelson.
You want to end with Woody Harrelson? Interesting. Okay.
Because Woody Harrelson seems like a fun one to get.
Let's go Jack Wilder.
Jack Wilder.
Dave Franco.
I think I would put Aiden in here.
I also have Aiden.
I think he'd be able to play the sort of young cockiness well. Disappear for half the movie. Come back with a sledgehammer and smash a giant pane of glass.
I think, and I had a few people on the list before I narrowed it down to Aiden. There's a specific kind of cockiness and having fun in the movie that you need for this character. Chamberlain I had at one point. I knocked him off the list because Chamberlain, I think, could play a little too confident. Jack Wilder is a little doubtful of himself. He's the youngest of the four. He's constantly kind of in awe of what the other three are doing. Is always like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I think Aiden could nail that. I'm a professional and I'm really cool. Oh, but I might mess it up. I think that's what's great about Jack Wilder's character, and I think that Aiden could bring that to the performance. Yeah.
Next, let's go with Henley.
Henley? You got?
I have Hannah for this role.
Hannah, Hannah was on in the running for me, but I think I narrowed.
I was gonna say, do we match all?
No, we didn't. No, I have Margot down for Henley. I think both work really well. I think both could play up the showmanship and have that kind of charm that Henley brings. That is present. There's charm present in all four of the characters. None of it's really like Henley's though. Henley's kind of always performing. The other three kind of seem like they may be taking a break every once in a while. She's always smiling and up and ready. And I think Margot can nail that and has that kind of performance in her personality. But I mean, same thing I could say with Hannah. Hannah was top two for this one.
Yeah,
as well.
I can see both of them fitting similar
roles. Michael Caine. Michael Caine.
Next, let's go with Atlas.
Atlas.
And the person I'm going to pick is in this room. He's currently smiling.
You think it's him?
I think Carm would play Daniel.
You think
Atlas.
He would be Daniel Atlas? Interesting.
I think Carm would be able to play Daniel Atlas pretty well.
Interesting.
I think Carm would do well there.
Explain just a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Not that I don't believe you.
So I think he'd be able to play, number one, the frustrated aspect that he has when the other three kind of don't listen to him. I feel like he'd be able to play that. But I think he'd also, when he is the smartest guy in the room, I think he'd be able to play up his cockiness. Because that's a different kind of cockiness.
Yes.
And I think he'd be able to have that confidence and have just the energy to show it off as cool and not as more as a that just happened.
Yeah, that just happened. Yeah, no, when Daniel Atlas is confident in this movie, you know it.
Yes.
You know that he is, and
it isn't like he rubs your face in it, but doesn't in the most sly way possible, but just kind of giving you a look like.
Yes, the Four Horsemen in this movie, all, like I said, all have some sort of magician's charm, magician's sleaziness, magician's confidence. It's all different in all four though, and that's what I love about these four characters too, is that it's somehow you nailed doing all those three things in four different ways with a total of 12 different kinds of emotions and things you brought to the character. I have used Daniel Atlas. I think, well, first of all, I don't think you as a person are anything like Daniel Atlas, but you as an actor could do that, and I think also the quick-witted, quick-speaking nature of Daniel Atlas you could bring to that role. I think I don't know. It's tough, right? Because this is, I think, that was the most conflicting of the ones that I narrowed down. Because I don't think you're anything like him as a person, but I do think you could play that role really well. And mostly in like the nuances of the performance and the specifics of how you deliver lines.
I just gotta start speaking fast like Jesse Eisenberg.
A little bit, yeah. Just kind of.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah, I think, and even like the little like ad libs that Jesse Eisenberg throws in as this character, where at one point he gets them, like when he's trying to like read Arthur Tressler and like do mentalism, and he gets it wrong. He like hits the top of the plane, and while it doesn't matter at all, he just kind of goes like sorry, like he just does like a little bit of he hits like where the luggage goes, and he goes I'm sorry, like he just like does it on the side. No one needs that, but it's like a little piece of the character that I think he does well, and you could do that.
Yeah, rule number 2, double tap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man versus God. Sorry, I'm getting into other Jesse Eisenberg movies.
I think Justin Grohl could play a lot of Jesse Eisenberg roles because he's got range. I think you could have the same range because you absolutely are also his character in Zombieland too.
I mean, yeah. There's another Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg collab. I love them in that movie.
You want me to tell you who your Woody Harrelson would be in either of those movies?
Who? What?
As in, like, who would play...
Oh, you know who Woody Harrelson is for both these movies?
Yeah, no, I think who could play your Woody Harrelson for that movie, but also I know who would play Merritt in this movie.
Who'd play Woody Harrelson in that movie? Is it Connor?
It's Connor.
Yeah.
It's Connor. Connor is...
on the search for a Twinkie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like... But then... And again, it's not the same character. A different kind of character for Woody Harrelson.
I have someone else for...
Woody Harrelson to play in Now You See Me. I think Connor O'Malley is Merritt McKinney. It's just that guy. I don't know. Like, and also, like, there's a bit of a like Merritt is very much like the weird uncle of the group, and like Connor could absolutely play that. But also, like, if anyone was to do mentalism in VTV, it's the most mental person that's in the club, and that's Connor. Who do you have though?
So I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
The first one's you.
Ooh. I'm honored.
That's given.
I'm honored.
I feel like, yeah, you'd be able to do it.
I have fun with that.
You'd be able to give off Woody Harrelson energy in your performance, I feel like.
Woody Harrelson isn't right now because it fluctuates all the time, but at one point was my favorite character of this movie, and I love him so much, and I'm honored by that.
But the other one I have, I think, is more fun.
Uh-huh.
I think Sarah would be great in this role.
Ooh. That's fun. That's really cool.
I think Sarah as McKinney.
I like that a lot.
I think she would have so much fun with this.
I think that would be really fun to see. Because I absolutely see it. It's hard to describe in words, but I absolutely agree.
He's the most chill, the most relaxed, and having the most fun at all times.
He is never not having fun. It is literally like the only time where he's like not having fun a little bit is when Dylan Rhodes is like bringing up his past and how his brother screwed him over, and even then he's kind of like, well, I do appreciate that walk down memory lane. Like that's absolutely I could see Sarah nailing that kind of line.
Yeah.
I think I like that a lot. I think it's a good cast of characters, a good cast of actors who play those characters.
Yeah, should be interesting come award season when best casting
they'll just need
comes
to look
along before best stunts.
Yeah, they're just gonna need to look at this episode. I mean, I think we nailed it.
I think we nailed it.
Also, I feel like, and I haven't seen all of the movies that you've done Film Favs on, but every single casting one has been pretty spot on.
Because every single one we cast Connor in like half the roles.
Well, yeah, but like whenever you and you know what I've noticed is like a sort of a trend, and maybe it's just because they have specific personalities. Connor and Aiden, that always seems to be in like the easiest. So like people are like, okay, so who'd you cast with Aiden? Who'd you cast with Connor? Absolutely. Like
well, Connor, we can just put it anywhere.
You really could put Connor anywhere, which I don't know if that means that he does nothing
Connor
or he does
Henley,
everything.
like
he could play Henley. Connor could play Michael Caine. I think
he would love Michael Caine.
I think he would love Michael Caine. But I think all of the casting decisions that have been done on Film Favs so far have been spot on. I love them. Demetrius is in the room, but I haven't talked to him about it. I do appreciate that I was cast as Brad from Perks Being a Wallflower. I think that's very funny.
Yeah, very funny.
Very funny.
Very funny.
What a funny character. He's such a goofball.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I got.
All right, that's all I got then.
Love that
Thank
movie
you.
so much. Thank you for bringing me on.
Thank you for being on. Yeah, so next week we're going to have on Finn to talk about some Star Trek.
Ooh.
More specifically, the best Star Trek movie, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no need to watch the first one because the first one not good. Second one, great movie.
Wrath of Khan.
Watch Wrath of Khan. Yeah. So thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me, sir. I appreciate it so much. And don't forget, the closer you look, the less you actually see.
Logo.
Logo.